you folks make some noise. Hi, everybody. TOKEN2049. Everybody make some noise, people. Come on. We haven't done this for like 2 years. We need a little bit more excitement here. Come on, everybody. And also, look, this is a total sausage fest, guys. So if we have, can we just get some yay for diversity in the room? Can everybody make some noise for some diversity in space? Thank you very much. So thank you very much. I'm going to take a little trick off our friends earlier, but you can remain seated. The rest of you, can I have you all stand for a little bit, please? Everyone here, can you all stand for a little bit? I'm going to take a little trick from our Nansen friends earlier to get you all to stand a little bit. Just really want to see how many of you here sit if you have heard of the Sandbox. Sit if you've heard of the Sandbox. Thank you. Thank you very much for all of you who heard of the Sandbox. Sharon, please go get those 3 boys. They have not heard of the Sandbox. We need to get them on the Sandbox. Thank you so much. So, Loretta, Chen, I am a professor by day, but in my day, night, evening now, I am working really hard in the Smobler studios, and we are the official and preferred builder in the Sandbox, the only one here in Singapore. So we have institutions, some banking institutions, schools, academies, nonprofits coming to the Sandbox, and we're building their worlds. So we've been funded by the Sandbox and Brink, as well as we are partners with Octaver as well. So just very quickly about us, I'm going to check our time. I've got time. So Smobler Studios, we specialize in world building, Metaverse strategy, as well as in IP creation. So for those of you, if you're thinking about building your world in a Sandbox, we're your folks. So we are headquartered in Singapore, and we are steadily growing as we speak. And we didn't always start in the Metaverse, of course, right? But we were always builders. We were always brand storytellers. And so when we wanted to start our company, we were deciding, like, where should we go find our clients? And one of the things that we really wanted to stick true to was the fact that we knew how to tell brand stories, and so that is also why they were working largely with Web 2 and legacy brands. So if you're a Web 2 or legacy brand, a financial institution, a nonprofit, a school, and you want to come into the Metaverse space, particularly the Sandbox, we're right here for you. So why Metaverse for good? Well, why not? At the heart and center of who we are, it's all about our ideals: inclusion, diversity, equity, access, leadership, love, and sustainability. So in our organizational chart, we didn't want to have one of those pyramids with the CEO like the Zuck right at the top. We really want to make sure it's a very inclusive ecosystem that we created. And these are the core members of our team, and we're steadily building in different parts of the world. And one of the biggest challenges that we recognize too in the work that we're trying to do, as you all probably know, is that there is a lack of understanding on what really is the Metaverse. And also, current adoption practices are very arduous, and so people often get very confused on how to start. There's also a lack of accessibility. There is still some friction and wallet setup, even though day by day by day, you can take a look at all these participants here and exhibitors here. They're giving you new solutions, but we are still years away, right? But that's why we're all co-creating the space. So big shout out to all of you for being pioneers in the space and paving the way. You guys are champs. So there is also a lack of competent builders, and that's also why we now have an edge in doing what we do, because we jumped into space early. And there is a lack of coherent communication between the community and, of course, the platform. So that is also why moments like this in TOKEN2049 is very important. So I really urge you to come chat with us later. We don't bite just yet, so definitely come chat with us. And we're kind of different here, right? I mean, like I said, everyone here kind of is a gentleman, and so come speak to us gals. And we do really good work. There is also a lack of trust. And that's also one of the reasons why we really wanted to create a Metaverse for Good initiative. So why do we have a real value add now? Because one of the things that we do is that we tell everyone that we humanize the Metaverse. We're really trying to bring brand stories in and really trying to understand our brands and humanize it, therefore creating trust. On my left is my co-founder, Ruel. And that's Sébastien Bourget, who is, of course, the CEO and co-founder of the Sandbox, and a dear, dear friend, mentor, supporter, and of course, the Sandbox has also invested in us here in Smobler Studios. Again, we're the only investee company here in Singapore. So this is a little part where we toot our horn before we go into why we're doing this. So at Smobler Studios, we are currently trailblazers. For all of you here who have been in the Sandbox, except for the three gentlemen, we actually have our tools of rock. Is anyone here in Alpha Season? Who here has gone to Alpha Season? Alpha Season, folks. Anyone Alpha Season? Okay, Sharon, we've got to get them to go to Alpha Season. So Tools of Rock opened last Saturday. We built the world's first concert venue, and it just opened Alpha Season at Sandbox. We are also building the world's first accessibility park because we truly believe that the Metaverse space should be a space which is equal, barrier-free. Why recreate a world that is full of all the barriers and walls that we have today? So we really wanted to create a barrier-free world. Because one of the things that I noticed is that we wanted to create a space for disabled and non-disabled artists alike. Because the fact is, how many Stevie Wonders are there, right? And when I was growing up, I realized that, I didn't see my disabled friends in the playground simply because our playgrounds were not accessible. And I truly believe that children can't be what they can't see. And so if they're playing on the Metaverse and they see spaces that are accessible, we're going to be creating a world where they'll expect things to be accessible. Because they'll be creators like you. So that's the kind of world we're trying to create. We've also created and launched an Aventus Metaverse. So we've taken an educational institution into the Sandbox as well. We've launched the first non-profit into the Metaverse, the Food Bank. And we also have our own Metaverse Mall. I'm going to show you a little bit. This is Tools of Rock. Like I said, it is now live on Alpha Season 3. So let's take a look at that. So let's go. And we can turn up the volume because it's like the 4 p.m. hour, and these folks are in need of a happy hour. So can you take up the volume? Okay, so Tools of Rock Go Play is live now, Alpha Season 3. And we built this brick by brick, voxel by voxel. A lot of you folks are familiar with Sandbox know that. Some people think that we scan it because it looks so good. So thank you so much for the compliment. We also have our own Metaverse Mall. And the reason why we built it is because we realized that the real brick and mortar world can be very unaffordable, right? And not many entrepreneurs, momtrepreneurs, solopreneurs could actually afford to have a space in a brick and mortar mall. That's one of the reasons why we created a multi-experience social hub and theme park. This is where we can onboard solopreneurs, momtrepreneurs, LGBTQIA, BIPOC, anyone that typically feels like they're excluded from building in a real world. So that's where we'll onboard you into Cobbleland. Quick little video on Cobbleland. Slightly different aesthetic. We can turn up the volume as well because people are kind of falling asleep again, so we want to wake them up. So join us in Cobbleland. There's a lot of running at the Sandbox. Makes my knees ache. We're trying to build an entire community in Cobbleland as well, so join us. I'm just going to skip it really quickly. We also launched a food bank into the Metaverse, right? We create their NFTs. We have Young Raja as our brand ambassador. We create a series of workshops, demonstrations to really onboard people to get them to understand how do you buy your first NFT, how do you start a wallet. So we've been working really hard to really work with the Singapore population to really get them to understand that there's nothing to be afraid, right? So these are just some of the assets that we've created for the food bank, and we're also creating their world in the Sandbox as well. And this is the Access Park that I was telling you about. We're working with SG Enabled to build accessibility park. And it's something I think about a lot because my mother's in a wheelchair. So, I think about the world that we'll inherit, right? We're also building a diversity, equity, and inclusion space for Carnegie Mellon. That's where I teach as well. I teach the Metaverse in Carnegie Mellon. And so we're also building their space. But more importantly, and this is where I urge all of you to sort of pay attention. Anyone here from ASEAN? from one of our 10 member states in ASEAN. Most of you here should be from ASEAN. So we thank you very much. You're not in the Sandbox, but you're from ASEAN. So we're going to come get you. We're going to give you a $1 million scholarship if you apply. So we actually launched a $1 million USD $1 million scholarship fund. For ASEAN scholars, so you can actually apply through Aventis. Why are we doing this? Because we truly believe that we want to empower the future generation of ASEAN. It is currently the 5th largest growing region in the world, and it's set to become the 4th largest growing region by 2030. In terms of GDP, it has a GDP of $3.1 trillion, according to 2020 numbers, and it's set to get even higher. So that is why we're really investing in the future of ASEAN. If you want to get a scholarship from us, it will also infuse Metaverse courses as well. Log on to Aventis or Smobler Studios, and then we'll share more details on how to apply for that $1 million scholarship fund. The other thing that we've also done over last week is that we signed an MOU with the Sandbox to create the first ever Sandbox Academy. So for anyone who thinks that you want to be able to build your own world, your own land, you want to learn how to create the stuff that we create, Vox Edit, Game Maker, we'll be announcing details very soon. There's the first ever Sandbox Academy in Singapore, and we're expanding as well. And we're going to be having full suite of other courses coming up together with the Sandbox. So make sure you stay tuned for that, smoblerstudios.com. And over the weekend, I don't know if any one of you saw the news. There's a lot of furor and excitement about this couple that had that had their wedding in the Metaverse, and all of Singapore knows. So that was us at Smobler. We created their wedding, the first ever digital wedding. And I think we're really thankful to have gotten like that first feature, the big feature in Straits Times Live. And this was us really sort of bringing together brands, because I feel like there's no better way to unite the real world and the Metaverse world through something like a union of a marriage. And also, we couldn't think of a better place than Alkaf mentioned, because it really is about something borrowed, something blue, and it's taking colonial and technology together. So we did the first digital wedding. My last point in 3 minutes, and this is where I'll do my biggest pitch. We truly believe in creating a metaverse for good, because there is so much distrust and there's so much uncertainty in the world that we live in today. And so what we've done in Smobler Studios is we've really just stuck to our ideals front and center. Our ideals of Smobler, like I said, are inclusion, diversity, equity, access, leadership, love, sustainability. And with that, we have launched a series of campaigns, a series of partnerships with brands who want to do good, whether it's the food bank, it's Aventis, it's banks, it's more banks, it's telcos. We're having so many partners who want to partner us to do good in our platform. And what we're trying to do is also, during this time where there's a lot of uncertainty, we want to allow brands to be able to dip their toes into the Sandbox space for 1 year, and you don't have to pay land. You don't have to buy land. Of course you can. We encourage you to buy land from the Sandbox. Sebastian will be very upset if I said don't buy land. Please buy land. But for 1 year, if you just want to dip your toes into the Metaverse, you can come on board Metaverse for Good. All you need to do is pledge to do good. Why? Because we have our sponsor, which is Octava Foundation. Thank you. They have granted us to be custodians of their 12 by 12 land. For those of you who are familiar with Sandbox, 12 by 12 is huge. It's about 2,000 football fields. And so if you pledge to do good, your brand, whether you're an NGO, you're a nonprofit, you're a school, you're a brand, but you must pledge to do good, you can come on the Sandbox Metaverse for Good through Smobler Studios for 1 year for free. All right. So here's a little, and this is my last 90 seconds. So I just want to end with an exciting video, Metaverse for Good. So make some noise, people. I hope you come on board Metaverse for Good. Let's go. Let's take it up. Can you take it up? That's Sebastian, by the way. That's his avatar. He officiated the wedding. Xavier Foundation, the Sandbox, and finally, if we don't get a chance to chat today, I'll be talking again with Medici, Snoop Dogg's son, on Friday, so you can join us there as well. Shoot us an email. We'll be happy to chat with you. If you want to find out more, log on to smoblerstudios.com. Thank you very much, Token2049. Join us for Metaverse for Good. Thank you.